Hello and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and SmackDown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. There's a lot of big newsworthy stuff happening across both shows this week. I will be talking about them in chronological order as I go through my reviews. If you can't wait and you want to hear what I have to say about the Becky Lynch and Nia Jax situation, jump ahead to this time code. And if you want to hear what I have to say about the WWE Title situation, jump ahead to this time code. After a Veterans Day video package, we go right into a match to open up Raw. It's a tag team battle royal to determine which tag team will be the captain for Raw's Tag Team Survivor Series tag team matchup. But before anything really happens, before we have a winner, Braun Strowman comes in, he cleans house, he scatters everyone, and he says he's not leaving until he gets Baron Corbin in the ring. Out comes Stephanie McMahon, and I'm really concerned for what's about to happen. But fortunately, she does not talk down to or castrate Braun Strowman verbally. She actually works with him and says you can get a match with Baron Corbin and you can get a championship match with Brock Lesnar in the future as long as you're a team player at Survivor Series and you don't lay a hand on Baron Corbin until after Survivor Series. Out comes Ronda Rousey to talk about her match with Becky Lynch. It will not be the last time we see her tonight. Then out comes Baron Corbin to say some words, and he puts his hand on Ronda's shoulder and he gets a judo toss for his efforts, and then he scurries out of the ring and Strowman gets right in Corbin's face and says, you're the lapdog to Stephanie, I'm going to neuter you after Survivor Series. So basically in that one moment, Baron Corbin was doubly punked out. I thought that was so unnecessary. It was hilarious, but I'm like, why did you do that? Like, I know just last week I advocated on this channel for intergender action in the company, but this moment here where Ronda just punks out Corbin with a judo toss comes out of nowhere and served absolutely no purpose, and it will not be the last time I have to feel bad for Baron Corbin. Look what you've made me do, WWE. You've made me feel bad for Baron Corbin, and the night's not even over yet. First match of the night is Ember Moon versus Tamina. Ember hopes to exact a bit of revenge after what happened last week when Nia turned heel and joined forces with Tamina. My favorite part of this matchup here is when Ember ducks a clothesline, does a dive to the outside onto Nia, who completely no-sells it. Like Ember hits a wall, practically. It was hilarious. The match ends when Nia distracts Ember. Tamina capitalizes, wins the Superfly Splash. After the match, Nia puts more of a beatdown on Ember, and they celebrate in the ring. I mean, it was a decent match. It accomplished what it had to of putting Nia over as more of a baddie and just putting over that team of her and Tamina over even more. So it at least accomplished that. Out comes IC champion Seth Rollins. He says that he doesn't give a damn about his match with Shinsuke on Sunday, which is kind of a lame way to build that matchup, guys. Dean then appears on the big screen. He's out in the parking lot, sitting on the hood of a car next to a barrel fire. He then cuts a great promo. It's a really strong promo by Dean here, where he says that Seth made him feel like an imbecile in a charity case every week. He said the Shield made him weak, and so then he takes the Shield flak jacket and dumps it into the flaming barrel, kind of a symbolic gesture. Really solid promo. If you haven't listened to it, I recommend you seek it out on YouTube. Great stuff by Dean. After showing highlights of what they called the most uncomfortable match in Raw history in Kurt Angle versus Drew McIntyre, I'm sure there are other equally qualified candidates to that title. Dolph and Drew make their way out to the ring to address what happened last week. Drew's promo was awesome. He put Kurt over while also tearing him down and saying it made him disgusted to see Kurt crying. Finn Balor interrupts the promo, but they kind of gave it away because a few seconds before his music hit, you could see that in the camera angle on stage, there was some billowing smoke showing up before they played his music. They had to prep the smoke before they bring him out. And so anyway, he comes out to defend Kurt's honor. Drew puts him in a match against Dolph Ziggler up next, which you can see Dolph is kind of miffed at being put in this matchup, kind of against his will. Didn't really expect it. But before the match begins, Drew hits the headbutt, the Glasgow kiss, onto Finn before commercial break. The match itself was entertaining. It was a cool finish where Finn countered a quick roll-up with an even quicker roll-up, and then he escapes, and Drew looks pissed. I'm surprised he didn't just hit Dolph with the Claymore out of frustration after that one, or as punishment. It was a very similar setup to the match earlier with Ember and Tamina, but with a different result. Backstage, Stephanie and Baron are somehow still arguing over what happened in the opening segment of the show. Stephanie puts Finn over in a huge way and announces him to be the fourth member of the men's Survivor Series team, and Drew and Dolph show up and they're pissed, but Stephanie diffuses the situation and puts all three of them over. And when Stephanie wants to, she can do a very good job in building people up and hyping them up up instead of just tearing them down. It was refreshing to see. It's pretty rare. Elsewhere backstage, we see Ronda Rousey once again. She cuts a more in-depth promo about Becky Lynch for Survivor Series. It's a pretty strong promo overall. I think it's one of her better ones to date. But there is one particular line that really stuck in my craw. It was very stupid, is when she refers to Becky, says, "You're not the man, you're the millennial man." And then she continues to spout all these tired tropes and stereotypes about millennials. Fuck you, younger voters. Other than that one stupid line, I think it was a very strong promo. It's Riot Squad promo time. Ruby opens up sounding quiet and remorseful, tossing to a highlight package where she broke Jim Neidhart's sunglasses from last week, forcing Natalya to do the ugliest cry in the history of wrestling. And from the moment she starts talking, I know exactly where this is going, where she's all like, "Oh gosh, golly gee," holding back tears and everything. "Oh, I did such a bad thing. Psych, I'm still a bitch." It's the Alexa Bliss memorial promo all over again. You can see it from a mile away, and it's so stupid how every female heel that they ever book now is like, this is the promo we're gonna have you cut. It's ridiculous. Writers, would it kill you to come up with a better way to get your female heels over? As Ruby's talking, Natalya interrupts, jumps her from behind, and then she gets the hell beaten out of her by all three members of the Riot Squad. Where were Sasha and Bayley during all this? Because, like, weren't they Natalya's friend, and weren't they comforting her and holding her in her arms as she was crying last week? That was weird that they weren't there for this one. I was kind of surprised they restarted the Tag Team Battle Royal. Usually a match like that'll happen and gets broken up or whatever, and nothing ever comes of it as a follow-up, but they actually did restart it here. I just want Braun to interrupt this match again, honestly. The final two teams are the Ascension and Gable and Roode, and man, they are milking the hell out of this rivalry. Crazy new double team move by Roode where Bobby Roode's got a neck breaker, and then Gable comes down with the top rope moonsault. What an awesome move. They win, and they are the team captains for the Tag Team Survivor Series matchup for Team Raw, and there you go. It's time for Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar to make their way to the ring. I believe Heyman created a new meme on Monday when he said, "Google it, bitches. I'm not here to educate you." Great stuff. It's a typical standard, very, very good Paul Heyman promo, but he's interrupted by Jinder Mahal. And a nice little callback, which I didn't really see coming. Jinder talks about how last year at Survivor Series, he was supposed to be the one to go against Lesnar when AJ Styles took his championship a couple weeks beforehand. He tries to get Lesnar to do the Shanti chant in the ring, and Lesnar, he gets ready to do it, and he just, nope, he just starts beating up Jinder. He murders Sunil Singh with a German suplex that makes him land right in his neck. That was scary shit. And he did it again later on. He just murders all three of them. He hits an F5 onto Jinder on the outside. Everyone's down. And my God, what a spectacle this whole segment was from the promo. Jinder showing up out of nowhere. 3 murders in the ring. That was it. Up next, Bobby Lashley versus Elias. Bit of a role reversal here, as the last time they faced off, the face-heel dynamic was totally swapped. The winner of this match will be the final man to enter Team Raw for Survivor Series. I guess they're going to keep doing the whole Bobby Lashley bends over and shows his ass thing. Cool. Glad that there's some things that need to be kept from week to week. Bobby and Leo are cut off by Elias, and it turns out that footy chant of the tune of Seven Nation Army that we heard last week in England has carried over to America, so glad to hear that chant's getting over. It's catching on. Elias pretends to call Child Protective Services. He opens up the promo by saying, "Hello, I am Elias," on the phone. Great call back there. He says that Lashley sucks, that everyone's going to be put to sleep by these guys, and he jams out on the guitar like, damn, Elias is so over here. He is counted out, though, in the match after Leo Rush grabs his ankles from under the aprons. The referee can't see him. After the match, he does get his heat back by tossing Leo into Lashley to the outside. So yeah, it was a decent match, but Elias is so over. At this point, I think everything he's doing no wrong at this point. Alexa Bliss is in the ring. She's about to make her announcement as to who will fill out the women's team for Team Raw for Survivor Series. She's joined in the ring by Mickie James, Nia Jax, and Tamina, and she introduces all three of them in the wrong order, because she puts over Mickie James, 7-time champion, future Hall of Famer Mickie James, former champion Nia Jax, and Tamina. And so she announces that those three and Natalya will be on the team for Survivor Series. But who will be the 5th entrant? Well, it'll be the winner of this next matchup, Sasha Banks versus Bayley. The announcers act surprised that this match is happening, but I don't know how they could have missed it, because Alexa did a dead giveaway in her promo beforehand saying that, friendships could be sacrificed for the glory of Raw on this night. These two ladies are just killing each other. They're just putting each other through hell in this match. Sasha has the Banks statement locked in, but then you've got the other heels jumping the two of them at the same time. Match ends in a disqualification, and then Alexa Bliss says, my pick for the 5th is Ruby Riott, which why didn't you just say that at the beginning? and avoid this whole matchup? And two, why would you do that? From a kayfabe perspective, it's a storytelling move that makes Bliss look really, really dumb, because Ruby and Natalya on the same team will obviously not work in kayfabe, so why would Alexa in kayfabe, knowing that, put her in the match in the team with Natalya? Even if those two are objectively the best options to have on the team, you know, the two of them together, Ruby and Natalya, for what Ruby's done to Natalya with the sunglasses and everything, it's a huge liability. That's going to bite her in the ass to have those two on the team. It makes her look really fucking dumb. But then we cut to a frantic backstage scene where Becky Lynch from SmackDown has Ronda Rousey in the disarm her in the locker room. She gets up and walks to the ring area, and she leads a SmackDown Ladies Invasion. It's a big old lady brawl in the ring. The camera cuts are freaking nauseating. Kevin Dunn went full Kevin Dunn on this one. You could not see anything that was going on, and that also made it difficult to see just what happened and how Becky Lynch suddenly started bleeding profusely from her face. Like, the moment, it was totally missed on the live broadcast. They would show in the replay on Tuesday what happened, but yeah, Becky all of a sudden starts bleeding out of nowhere, face is busted, and then she beats the hell out of Ronda with a chair, and then she gets up and she goes up the steps into the crowd. She poses. What a badass look for Becky, and what a great way to end the show. Even if Becky didn't get busted open, it wasn't bloodied, it still would have been a great look for her. It got me very excited about this match between the two of them, way more so than Styles Lesnar Part 2. And then, of course, backstage, we cut to Stephanie McMahon screaming at Baron Corbin, telling him he's got to get his act together. So now he's been punked out 3 times in one night, 4 if you include their conversation backstage walking up to Finn Balor they were having after the Finn and Dolph match. Poor Baron Corbin. But then we all found out on Tuesday the severity of Becky's injury, and that fact she had her face broken and that she has a concussion due to an errant punch by Nia Jax. That's what happened. That's what caused her to get bloodied. So she is out of Survivor Series. What a huge blow this is to Becky's momentum after everything that's been happening with her since her heel turn at SummerSlam. If we're comparing her to a Stone Cold-like character, which a lot of people have been doing lately, then in one fell swoop, she had both her WrestleMania 13 moment and her SummerSlam 97 moment on Monday night. It was the yin and the yang, the best and the worst. It is a really bad timing, and it just kills off what I think most fans were excited for about Survivor Series. The one silver lining with it is the fact that, you know, they don't have to hotshot this match now at Survivor Series. Becky doesn't have to risk losing to Ronda and kind of also hurting her momentum in that way. So, you know, if they play their cards right, they could build this matchup all the way to WrestleMania and not only have a really high anticipated match for Mania, they could main event the show with a match with that if the build is good enough. But then there's this whole thing with Nia Jax and all the controversy surrounding her now. And I'm sure a lot of you are now expecting me to cut this big rant about how, you know, accidents happen in wrestling. I'm going to defend Nia at all costs. It's all forgive and forget. You know, I still stand by the fact that accidents happen in wrestling and that, you know, in most cases they should be forgiven. But I'm still mature enough to, you know, change my opinion when presented with new evidence, and this is some damning new evidence. You know, Nia Jax, her record speaks for itself. She has been injury prone, or I should say she's been prone to injuring others. She is accident prone in the ring. And I'm not saying she should be fired, but I do believe she should have some severe rehabilitation or tuning up at the Performance Center to learn how to work better and safer and not injure so damn many of her coworkers. Now here's where I will defend Nia. I'm not going to say she's blameless, because she absolutely is not blameless. She screwed up majorly here in this case. Even if it wasn't ruining a high profile match on pay-per-view, it still is unacceptable what she did. But then there's this theory bopping around I've seen on social media since Tuesday that Nia intentionally punched Becky in the face and intentionally broke her face, and she shot on her or took liberties with her or whatever. I'm like, that's such a weird, absurd claim to be going around. Is she unsafe? Is she accident prone? Yes. Absolutely. Like I said, she's totally at fault for what happened here. But, you know, just to say that she took liberties or shot on her and did it with malice, that is such an irresponsible thing to claim. You know, it was a stiff punch, but it was a working punch. You could see her thumb was out when she threw the punch when they showed the replay on SmackDown. That's an open fist. That's a working punch. But the thing is, they teach them to punch and throw forearms and throw punches stiff, so it looks good on television. So all it was she missed the mark, and she hit Becky right in the snoot, and that's why it broke her face. It was a good working punch, but it missed the mark. And to to claim anything else, to claim anything about Nia intentionally doing it. What could she possibly have gained from doing that and ruining this high-profile match? She wasn't going to get that spot. Did Vern Gagne pay her $10,000 to break Becky Lynch's face? I don't think so. So to propagate that theory, I think is bullshit. I think it's easy to do because it's easy and cool to make fun to hate on Nia because of what she did to everyone's favorite wrestler. But no, was it an accident? Yes. Is she at fault and does she need work? Yes, she does. But I refuse to believe she took liberties with Becky Lynch there. AJ Styles opens SmackDown. He cuts a promo on Brock Lesnar when he sees Paul Heyman in the timekeepers area, and he takes the mic from ring announcer Greg Hamilton. And then Heyman calls AJ the second best performer on SmackDown behind Daniel Bryan. He says how Lesnar wanted to face Daniel Bryan, but now he won't be able to get to do that. But hey, it'll still be a good match with Lesnar and Styles Part 2. And then Bryan comes out and tells AJ not to mention his name again. AJ pokes the bear, or I guess in this case the goat. He says his name again, and Daniel punches him in the face. They have a scuffle. A brawl ensues. It's broken up by the referees and officials and Shane McMahon. Backstage, the fight continues, and Shane McMahon announces there will be a title match between the two of them tonight. What? First match of the night is Andrade Cien Almas versus Jeff Hardy. Good stuff by both guys here. It's an entertaining TV match. Jeff wins with a swanton bomb. After the match, we cut backstage to see The Miz and Paige looking on. It's been revealed that Daniel Bryan is now off of Team SmackDown for the Men's Survivor Series matchup. Miz picks Jeff Hardy as his replacement, and he wants to kick Rey Mysterio out because he was Daniel Bryan's pick, but Paige makes a match for just after the commercial break where Miz and Mysterio will face off, and if Miz wins, then Mysterio is kicked off the team. Backstage, Shinsuke Nakamura cuts a promo about Seth Rollins. He says that his heart was broken when Seth said that he didn't give a damn about him on Monday because he is obsessed with Seth going into this match. He's even playing his promos on his phone, guys. Mysterio takes on Miz up next. It's a rematch from 3 weeks ago on SmackDown. Second verse, same as the first. Mysterio wins with a roll-up. He gets to stay on Team SmackDown for the pay-per-view. Randy Orton shows up and tries to beat up Rey, but he escapes, and so then the Miz, poor Miz, eats an RKO for his troubles. In the ring, Paige introduces all the women of SmackDown. They all get an entrance. I thought that seems to be a big use of time. They couldn't all just start out on the stage or start out in the ring. Paige introduces Becky Lynch, black eye and all. She gets a huge ovation, a huge Becky chant, and she cuts a badass promo too, where she says, you know, that this thing between her and Ronda isn't over yet, and even while injured, she'd still kick Ronda Rousey's ass. What a great promo. She's there to determine who will replace her in the match against Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, and she picks Charlotte. They have a nice kayfabe breaking hug, and that is the end of that segment. So now it should be a good match to the pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to seeing how Charlotte and Ronda will work together. Charlotte can afford to lose this matchup in a way that Becky Lynch, I don't think, could have if the match were still to go on as planned. My question now is who's going to be the women's captain at Survivor Series for Team SmackDown? Who's going to be the fifth person in general? I'm still wondering what that is, because at the time of this recording, that has not been confirmed yet. Six-man tag team match here as the Bar Show take on the New Day. It's a fun match between the two teams. I love the finish where Kofi gets KO'd in midair by the Big Show with the punch for the Bar Show to win. Then we go backstage to the smoky boiler room where the Usos live now apparently, and they give SmackDown shirts to the Colognes, who I'm surprised are still employed, the Good Brothers, and Sanity, who I'm also surprised are still around. So basically every remaining tag team on the show. There is not a match on Survivor Series I'm looking forward to less than that match. That has pre-show written all over it, so it's a good thing it's there. Main event time, AJ Styles defends the championship against Daniel Bryan in a rematch from the SmackDown Before Crown Jewel. It's another great match here. Daniel works the arm, AJ works the leg. At one point the referee gets knocked down. Daniel takes AJ to Dick Kick City, then hits him with a knee plus, pins him, wins, becomes the new WWE champion, and wow, that's just incredible that this would happen on the Go Home show before Survivor Series. But we're not done yet, because after the match, Daniel Bryan fully turns heel and just stomps the bejesus out of AJ. That, by God, that Jezebel Brie Bella has corrupted her husband's soul. Wow, what a shocking way to end this show, and really just to cap off this incredibly tumultuous week, both in backstage stuff and in terms of the on-air product with Raw and SmackDown going into Survivor Series. I have a few thoughts though. One, it's a hell of a way to, make the Becky Lynch injury go down smoother. Two, it is an interesting move to have this genuine feel-good moment of Daniel coming out of retirement to win back the championship he never lost neutered by a heel turn, but what I've seen other people say online, I tend to agree with them, that we've had all the feel-good moments already with Daniel, and now Daniel as a heel champion makes things very, very interesting. 3, you'd think that after feuding with Shinsuke Nakamura for what felt like 100 years this year alone, that AJ would wear a cup at all times just out of precaution. 4, it is a shame that AJ couldn't go into 3 straight Survivor Series as champion. It's a little disappointing he couldn't make history doing that, but it is what it is. And number 5, now at Survivor Series we have a match between a man who lost 3 years of his career due to concussions going against a man who is second in the company only to Nia Jax in terms of giving out concussions. What could possibly go wrong? Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. This week, I have to go with the easy choice, SmackDown. You know, it's funny because before SmackDown, I thought that Raw was going to be the easy choice. I thought it was going to be really hard to beat what Raw did on Monday because I thought it was a great show, very strong overall. Not that great in terms of wrestling, but in terms of just moments and like other segments, I thought it was very strong. A night of great promos between Dean Ambrose and Drew McIntyre and most of Ronda Rousey's stuff except for that stupid Millennial Man line. Paul Heyman had a great promo, Elias had a great promo, and my God, just the whole closing segment with Becky Lynch invading with the SmackDown ladies and the bloody, like, yeah, looking so triumphant at the top of the stairs. So great. But, you know, the Ruby Riott promo sucked, and then Bliss's idiotic logic of putting Ruby Riott and Natalya on the same team makes absolutely no sense. Like, I get we just have, like, Finn and Drew on the same team, but, like, that doesn't seem to me as personal or liable for a blow-up as Natalya and Ruby, just from a kayfabe perspective. Then over on SmackDown, you had some entertaining matches, primarily Mysterio versus The Miz. I enjoyed the women's segment where Becky hands the baton over to Charlotte. And then, of course, the main event, Daniel versus Styles. It was going to be really hard for SmackDown to beat Raw this week, but it turns out a wild last-minute title change in the midst of this groundbreaking card shifting of the week before the pay-per-view is going to make it happen. Let me know what you thought about Raw and SmackDown this week in the comment section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.